Hello and welcome to Three Geeks in a Pod 2014. My name is Errol.
I'm Manda.
You just snot in your head.
No, I'm on edge now because everyone's like, it doesn't work, and
I'm Ja-Mez.
It's Ja-Mez. It was working, and then we decided to meddle with things, and that wasn't a good idea.
That was my fault. I apologize.
Everyone's
What
going.
were we
woo,
meddling with?
because we wanted to hear if there was a buzz, and when they said, "Oh, it seems to have stopped," we just thought that meant the buzz stopped, so we kept on talking, and we didn't even realize that nobody was hearing us until about 5 minutes ago.
If you're listening in and you actually haven't gone in through our website, you can find us on 3geeksinapod.com/live. That's the number 3, and that way you can join in our live chat that is happening while we are talking. And how exciting is that?
Yes,
and please be part of the show. We really enjoy having people as part of our, show and contributing to the topic at hand. And this year, this week, well, it is this year because it's the first topic of the year, we're talking about our favorite things from 2013, specifically geek things, but, if other things come up, we'll let the conversation flow. So if you guys have any things that you really liked about 2013, chime in, let us know, and we can, let you know what we thought about those things, and maybe it'll spur some topic. We started with movies, and Amanda mentioned that she just seen
I just saw
Totoro for the first time.
Which was exciting.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Because Manpans liked it.
I
think we're repeating ourselves.
But
Manpans...
I'm not sure when the broadcast cut off, so just for
the rest of you people.
For the rest of you.
Manpans went in expecting to hate it because she wants to crush everyone's soul with bitterness and anger.
Everyone, because everyone is like, Totoro, and I was sitting there like, you know what, I bet it's not so great. I'll judge for myself. I'm not gonna like it. From like the first little moment, it was like, oh crap.
It was just charm.
This is adorable, and I want to hug all the children in the world now. Like, that's how it made me feel.
I was watching somebody play,
What is Totoro?
Totoro?
What?
Slimey's not familiar with Debs and Errol, okay? He's one of my buddies.
Oh,
he's not
cool.
So Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro, is a Miyazaki film from Studio Ghibli in Japan. It's an anime film that's about tree spirits. It's a very whimsical sort of children's adventure with this very strange, large, furry creature.
Yes.
Errol's already lost in wandering.
So it's a really good movie, actually.
Yeah, it's very adorable, and it's Errol's favorite Miyazaki film.
It's adorable, and it's also, it's awesome. That's all. Like, it's just very real to life, and it's one of the most realistic depictions of children I've ever seen, actually.
And the reason we're kind of excited that Amanda's finally seen Totoro is that Totoro is sort of a shtick with Errol and Debs and Errol that everybody knows.
It's not a shtick.
Well,
what are you talking about?
I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Trope,
that's a better word for it.
Oh.
It's kind of a recurring joke that Errol really loves Totoro, and he's constantly bringing it up, and people are constantly giving him Totoro-related gifts, so...
I have my Totoro scarf here. Anyway, so while people are looking for twine and typing on chat, I think our agenda for tonight is that we're going to look back on 2013. Did I already say that? Did we already say that? I can't remember. We said it early on.
You know what? We've said so many things, I don't remember what we have said or what we haven't said. So,
and so we're going to look back on 2013, hopefully look forward to 2014, and maybe talk about twine! I'll have some twine. That's kind of... Ooh, wow.
Is it too thin?
No, it's good. I can do with this twine.
Okay, so Errol has twine, I have a donut.
I have scissors.
And,
We're set.
I thought we might start by taking a look at the movie, since that's probably the thing we disagree with on the most.
Probably, okay. Yeah. So what movies are there for 2013?
Well, look it up.
I was saying that I've got a list here of some of the ones that I thought were worth mentioning that I had different opinions on. But what I found interesting was I was very disappointed with 2013, up until about mid-November.
I can agree with that.
And then I saw a movie then, and then a movie about a month later, two of which are my favorite movies of the year, one of which is one of my favorite movies of the last 5, 6, 10 years.
Who is it?
Gravity.
Oh, Gravity was a
I absolutely loved Gravity.
I think we can all agree that Gravity is great.
Gravity is a movie that I'd actually like to spend an entire episode talking about, so we may not... Because there's so much to talk about. It's not just a well-made movie. It's a filmmaker's movie where it spends so much time on its craft. Like, if you look at the science of it, it's
crap.
It's crap. It's terrible. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, it's not that much crap. There is some part of science that is cool. They did try.
But
then there's this blaring hole that...
like... I mean, the biggest thing that you'll notice is that they have the Chinese station and the space shuttle program, which never coexisted at the same time.
That's not the biggest thing I noticed.
That was the first thing I noticed, but there's other things. Like, the entire thing depends on everything in our atmosphere being on the same level of orbit, when it doesn't exist that way.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to... Like, the entire premise of the movie depends on that existing. Which I won't spoil, but...
Kari says, try watching it with an astrophysicist. Yeah, don't go to this movie with someone who knows anything about science.
That was one of the things, is when I was watching it with my friends, they know I have a terrible fear of heights and a terrible fear of isolation.
Mine is...
So both of those were kind of like really freaky to me, especially
really
when, the idea of being thrown into space and lost has always kind of struck me with great fear. So.
No, mine is like...
It's funny, when we were playing Tomb Raider, and then poor Laura Croft was really high up on this, antenna. Poor Ja-Mez, he was having oh, don't look down, Errol! What? Why not? No! Don't do that! Oh! You mean this? You suck, Errol.
A buddy of mine was playing, Mirror's Edge.
Oh, yes.
Which is entirely jumping from heights and whatnot, and every time he'd look down, stop doing that!
No, my fear is, oxygen deprivation and stuff, so the fact that it was a movie in which she was fighting for her oxygen most of the time was
but even without those feers, those innate fears,
still really good.
it was still
really
very
good.
captivating because the pacing of the movie was so great, especially if you watch it and pay attention. They don't cut very often.
No,
there is very long shots, and the director is very good at doing those. If you ever see Children of Men, he does a couple sequences. They're action sequences that you do where it doesn't cut. It's one long take, and it's very captivating. Yeah. And if you ever watch the movie adaptation of The Last Airbender, you know that doesn't work.
Well, I was going to say...
That's very poorly done.
It has to be used correctly, right? Because people do tracking shots all the time now, and it's there's a time and a place for it when it can be done very effectively. And you can be really impressed with it. Gravity was one of those, that opening sequence of 8 minutes of just uninterrupted
My greatest fear,
movement.
I think, is plugging someone else's toilet.
I'm sure that fear has come to fruition many a time.
Yes, Pepper, I can see your post. Don't worry about it. We can see everything you're saying.
Oh, yes, sorry. I've been keeping an eye out on the chat. It's just, we can see all the posts. We can see the chat. We'll try and respond to it as we go along. Kari was saying...
Pepper quit.
Pepper quit. Dr.
Who's
Pepper
Pepper?
quit.
Pepper's a buddy of mine.
Oh, hello, buddies!
I mentioned him on a couple occasions.
Now, the thing is, everyone, is that my back is turned to the screen, so I can't actually see the screen.
Yeah.
Because we're using an omnidirectional mic. 2 people looking at the screen, 1 person talking into the butt of the mic.
And we'll try to address your points as often as we can. However, sometimes we don't. If we're in the middle of a conversation, we won't be able to necessarily get to them.
There is an advantage to the audio format. Yes, right now is that we don't have a terrible lag with the chat. It's like a 1 second delay. I think we have right now.
That's much nicer.
Yeah,
are you sure?
Which makes the interaction much nicer.
And plus, then we can put it available for other people to hear.
Kari says it's a bit disconcerting actually because we respond to the comments right away. But with the video format, we actually, someone would post a comment and then we'd respond to it and then they wouldn't hear it until about 2 minutes later.
The other one I really wanted to mention that was really, really good.
I agree.
Not only with Gravity, the Gravity was very well done. The performances I also want to mention were fantastic.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how well Sandra Bullock, great she did in that.
Yeah, she did good.
I'm not a huge fan of her most of the time, but she's
like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, our friend Kari actually brought up a good point about Sandra Bullock's character, which is she doesn't wear makeup in it.
Yeah.
She looks like somebody who is made for space travel, right? Her hair is cut short. She's pretty no nonsense. She doesn't have makeup on, and it's
Kari sings and plays ukulele, geeky songs.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kari Morin.
And she's a great contributor to 3 Geeks in the Pod when she's in when she's in the chat.
Yeah.
One of the other ones that I really enjoyed this year was Frozen.
Oh,
I still haven't seen it.
I love Frozen so much.
I'm hoping to see it on Tuesday, maybe?
Oh, good. No, actually, I really like Frozen.
I'd like to do that one for an actual episode as well, because there's so much we could talk about. And I'd like to have Debs on with that, because she could talk about Debs and Errol could talk about the music, especially once something
Corey
happens.
says, I nag on chat. Nag.
I don't think you nag.
No,
on
I don't
chat.
No,
think
you
nag.
clarify.
You clarify.
I will say that also for Frozen, that song, Let It Go, is probably the most powerful song I have ever heard in a movie, ever.
I really, really, really hope that it makes Idina Menzel an even bigger star than she
Me
is,
too,
because it's a
'cause
crime
she's
that she's not as
brilliant.
well known
She is
as
brilliant.
she could be.
Yes.
I mean, people who see Rent and have seen, the original run of Wicked, or people who watch Glee, they know who she is, but she's not the household name I'd like her to be.
Yeah.
She's brilliant.
She's a household name on Broadway for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like in the general public, I'd like her to be a name that's more well known. Like how what
I think she is, because she went on Glee and she went.
Yeah, if you're on Glee, I think that's pretty
Glee's a
big.
bigger opening, but if you ask, maybe I'm
I
wrong.
was reading an Archie comic, and one of the ads was Archie meets Glee. Isn't that hilarious?
Oh my
Well, he's
gosh.
met Punisher. He's met
Yeah,
the
I
Ninja
know.
Turtles. He's met.
You mean the Archie or Glee?
Oh, Kari's right.
Archie.
Idina Menzel was in Enchanted, but she
She
didn't
was,
sing.
but she didn't sing in Enchanted.
Yeah.
It was
That is a
weird.
crime.
It's
Yeah.
a huge
Why-
crime.
Because she's not the best actress in the world, so I don't know why you would
Oh,
have
she
her.
was fine. In
She's
Enchanted.
fine, but it's just sort of like.
But do you know what I like about it? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. No, go for it.
Well, I haven't seen it, but what I like about it is that they're starting to put, like, singers and voice actors back into these animated movies.
Well, you
and
say
stuff,
that, but
and
the other sister was done by
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, who's
How's
not
she
exactly
do?
voice actor. She's not a terrible actress, but she's not really voice. She was
okay.
good. I liked her,
Yeah.
but I like the. Yeah, sorry.
It was so funny. 'cause
She was good in it. She wasn't distinct enough as Kristen Bell for me to pick out that she was Kristen Bell. Like I only
can't
know that because I had to
remember
look
who
it
Kristen
up.
Bell is. I know she's an actor.
Yeah, she's in a bunch of stuff. I don't know if you've seen anything she's been in, but
I really liked the song, Frozen song, and then I didn't want to tell Debs how awesome I thought it was because I figured she would hate it. if she
Veronica
thought how
Mars,
much
Slimy
I
Bug,
liked
that's a
it.
big one. Yes.
Well, it's true. I was about to hate Totoro, remember? Maybe that's just a thing with Errol. He can't tell
Oh, yeah,
everybody
Christy,
how
she was
awesome
on Heroes
anything
as
is.
well. Unfortunately, I don't think any of these things Errol has seen. So,
No, I haven't seen Heroes.
have you seen Veronica Mars?
She was
No,
in
I
Saving.
haven't.
Have you seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
No, is it that girl?
Yeah.
Yes, she was Sarah Marshall.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've only seen ads. I haven't really seen it
Okay.
yet. I heard it was good though.
She was in. She was
Okay.
also in one of her first roles was in Deadwood.
Oh, I didn't see that
She
either.
did a.
She was also in Fanboys, but that wasn't
didn't
that
see that.
great, so you can skip that
I've
one.
heard
Good at
things.
moving.
Other ones from this year, big one was The Hobbit.
I liked
yes.
it.
I hated it.
You really hated it?
hated
Okay,
it.
I didn't hate it.
I hated it.
Why did you hate
What
it?
about the first? As much as the first one, did you hate the first one?
I was iffy on the first one, but I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And then the second one was just an elf fan film for like the good chunk of the middle.
Yeah.
Like the first bit was great when the Hobbit was there, and then he disappears for a while, and then the last bit was pretty good with the Hobbit.
So in other words, you just didn't like any parts without Martin Freeman in it.
No, because I found the chase at the end with Smaug to be way overdone.
No. Trust me, I really had to pee when I was seeing it, and
You're
after a
gonna
while,
have
I'm
to
like,
pee, or
how
you're
many?
I got
hungry.
bored.
Is
I don't
Smaug
get
going to
bored
chase
during
them again?
films.
Are they going to? I was like, oh, so are they going to try and distract Smaug for a fifth time?
And then the
Yep.
ending irritated me. The ending sincerely irritated me.
I can't remember it yet.
can't
Oh
remember
yeah, I
it.
remember it.
It
now.
ended with
yeah,
a resolution,
Yeah, I
I'll
remember,
just say
I
that.
remember.
Oh wait, yes, now I
And
remember.
that really bugged me. Just because you know they're going to start the next film with that, and it's only going to be like a 10-minute, 20-minute sequence at the beginning. And it's like, you could tap that at the end of this one, and then you could start fresh on the next
For
movie.
me, it was actually I liked The Hobbit too. I didn't hate
Although
it.
I will say,
I liked it.
despite my reservations
I didn't
about her, I
love
did
it.
like Toriel as a character.
Yeah, I
And
liked her.
I hated the parts that she was in, but I liked her. So
I liked
I just
her.
want to make that
She-
clarification.
The actress who was also in Lost, Evangeline Lilly, she did the best with what she had, and
Well,
what she had was not a whole lot, unfortunately.
To be fair to her, when she signed on, she made the stipulation that she didn't want a love triangle.
oh, thank
She signed
goodness.
a deal with them that she would do the movie, but only if there isn't a love triangle. Then they came back from reshoots and they had a love triangle.
Oh,
so she'd already signed on, so she couldn't do anything about it. She was so upset about it.
I will say.
Sorry if that ruined anything for the people.
Well, I think everybody knew that. Didn't
Yeah.
they?
Okay.
It's like Legolas. Well, then because there's Hot Dwarf, good old Hot Dwarf. There's two Hot Dwarfs. There's Thorin, and then there's Keeley, I think his name is. He's like indie rocker Hot Dwarf, and then Thorin is like
I thought Philly
mighty
was more
warrior Hot Dwarf. You thought Feely was?
Yeah, if I was gonna go for
Feely,
Feely, I thought Feely was more attractive, but maybe I just like unusual looking. I don't know.
Unusual looking men.
Yeah. I guess that's my flavor in
it was definitely padded. I thought that.
Oh, it was way
it
too
showed
padded. You could make the first two films into one film.
I think everybody knows it's padded. So.
Yeah,
no, but like it's not even like padded well.
No, well,
in my opinion,
that well.
Yeah, and the only thing is, it kind of shows Gandalf's stupidity a lot more as well.
Which I kind of like, because I kind of like that he isn't he knows everything kind of character.
I know, but when he was like, I can't abandon... There's a part where, like, he leaves we'll call them Fellowship number 1A, because they're before the actual Fellowship, but I
actually didn't mind the barrel chase sequence, Christy. I kind of I know it went on a little bit and it got a little silly, but to me that's what The Hobbit was. It was silly. So,
he leaves...
Especially seeing the fat guy get a fight scene. Sorry.
Oh, crap's sake, yeah. But he leaves the Fellowship, Gandalf does, and then later on, as he's exploring, and they're like, having the barrel fight, he actually says to his wizard friend Radagast, because Radagast is like, alright, we figured out what's wrong, we really have to go check this out. He's like, you'd have me abandon my friends? I'm like, you just did. Like, 5 scenes ago. I don't see the issue here. And then later... Gandalf and him are at the, evil castle place where something's clearly going down, and Gandalf's like, oh, something's clearly going down. We should, I have to go investigate. And Radagast is like, I'll come with you. He's like, no. You go warn Galadriel. Okay, but you sure? You don't want me to come with you?
Yeah.
Or maybe we should wait for backup or something? No, I have to do this. This kind of seems like a trap, Gandalf. Oh, it's definitely a trap. I'm going in. And I'm like... What? I hate it when characters do that. I hate it when they're like, I plan on it being a trap.
I see what the writers are doing. They're doing what they call hanging a lantern, where they acknowledge something stupid in their script and kind of go ahead with it anyways. Okay. And thereby acknowledging it kind of deflates the audience's beef with it. But when it puts a character in mortal danger and he knows he's going to mortal danger for no real benefit.
And then they don't kill Gandalf.
Yeah.
They have him.
Well, they even left that on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Well, we know that he can't die.
We know
we know that, but at the same time,
neither will Legolas. Unless there's a timey-wimey thing happening that we don't know of.
This is an alternate dimension.
They do have a Doctor Who in there, so...
It would be great if Doctor Who showed up. I would be all for that. What?
He's Radagast. The 7th Doctor is Radagast.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's fun.
Sylvester McCoy is the 7th Doctor.
That'd be a great reveal. Yeah. I would go and see that movie.
So onto some other ones.
Onto some other movies.
Jaegers.
Yeah. Pacific Rim.
Oh, you didn't like it. Oh, you didn't see it.
Go for it. No, I saw it.
Oh, you did. Oh, did you hate it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So why did you hate this one?
It didn't appeal to me, and I just slowly lost interest throughout the movie. I will say that I really liked the female character. And I really that was the only thing I kind of liked in the story.
I liked that she didn't.
And I liked that she started her own sort of Bechdel test thing. Have you guys not heard of this? The Mako Mori test?
Oh, yeah, I did that. Yeah.
I did like that, she was a military woman, and she wore clothes according to that. Nothing was really clinging on her. Pacific Rim. Romantic relationship or not? I think so. Yes and no. Yeah. I think just because they didn't kiss at the end doesn't mean they're not in love. I know that's like a movie trope. But I don't mind I don't mind if it's not a romantic relationship. I like that they might just be friends, really close friends. And that they went through an experience, or like they went through a big adventure together, and that
yeah, but I still
closer.
think it's romantic, because you see, if you have a friend that's a female, you don't gaze at them.
That's true.
Right? I have many friends that are females.
Yeah,
I don't gaze at them if I just met them and think, oh, he's shirtless. Or she, or whatever. No, don't usually see my friend shirtless.
Reverse that.
Well done, Errol.
Thank you very much.
How many girls do you meet that are shirtless?
Fortunately
Do you
for
hang
my
out
wife,
strip clubs?
none. What?
Of course, it had to go to your wife at some point, but
Oh, we talking about her shirt? What? Ja-Mez!
I didn't bring it up. You did, so don't attack me for bringing it up.
Now I'm happy.
But I think that
Ow.
conversation devolved quickly, yeah. I think with Pacific Rim, I will agree that the story of it, like the story of the characters, it's not that great. I'll say that.
I get why people like it. It's just like giant robots beating on giant monsters,
Yeah.
and that's the fun of it. I don't find that appealing. I didn't find it appealing in the premise, and people raved about it, and I couldn't understand why people were raving about it. So I gave it a shot, as I tend to do, and it just didn't work for me. I'm not going to go on a huge criticism about it. It just didn't work for me. I'm just going to say
That's fine, yeah. If you're not into that genre, for sure.
Yeah. That said, I do think Godzilla looks interesting. Although I thought,
why do they have those red things coming out of them?
well, I thought they made a mistake by releasing that trailer rather than the unreleased bit from Comic-Con. That did leak. Well, it leaked to the internet for a day and then disappeared. But it was so well. You can still find it if you look really hard. But it's got this. I think it's Oppenheimer, one of the guys who was testing the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
He was talking about the horror of watching this thing explode and how people reacted to it, and how he just realized that they had the power of God now, or something to that effect. And you just see these slow panning shots of like all this devastation, like a giant footprint on a train and all these bodies scattered everywhere, and just like a giant hole punched in a building, and it just sort of slowly panned past all these things with this very eerie music, and all of a sudden you just saw this head come out of the smoke and then roar. And then it just said Godzilla, and that was a trip.
So is it more about, for Godzilla, it's more about the tragedy of a huge monster as opposed to the war against that huge monster?
That's what I was getting from the Comic-Con trailer, which I really liked, as opposed to this one where it just felt like we're trying to be as action filmy.
That's probably what you prefer.
Yes, I like the more...
Why do they have red things coming out of them when we're jumping on? What does Halo stand
slimy
for?
buggers.
I think that's the way it was explained to me is when they're falling or when they're skydiving like that, it's so that they don't run into each other. They can see where the other guy's trail is, and they separate away from that.
Okay.
Because they're falling into smoke in a cloud in a zone. They don't want to fall on top of the guy when his parachute opens. So it's so they can see where the other guys are falling.
What does Halo stand for?
The round thing over angels' heads?
No, it said you're doing a Halo jump, and so I thought it's a military thing. I don't know anything about stuff like that.
Oh, it's a video game.
Well, I know it's a video game.
And it's a hit song by Beyonce.
Is it?
I don't know what Halo means.
Can we talk about a movie I didn't like?
Beyonce?
Sure.
Okay, this is a movie I didn't like this year. I didn't realize it came
high
out.
altitude, low opening. That makes sense.
There
I
you
knew
go.
it was something like that. Thank you, Slimy Bug.
The Wolverine. We both saw that. I think, Errol.
So is that what the video game's about? High altitude? Because it just seems to be going up against aliens.
I don't think that's what it is. I have no idea what it is, but yeah.
They maybe jump into a lot of aliens.
So that you can avoid radar, you open underneath the radar, and after jumping above it. So you jump in above it, and then you open your above the radar, but you fall through it, and then you open.
What are we talking about?
The high altitude, low opening.
Oh, I know what that means.
No, but he's explaining how it works, like why they do that.
Oh, I was now actually onto like the video game.
Yeah, but Manda wanted to talk about something else.
Oh, you wanted to talk
I was
about
talking,
the Wolverine.
and you were like, Halo!
Oh, you're right. That is a Beyonce song, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know it's her that sings that.
Wow, we're off topic.
So you want to talk about the Wolverine, because you'll talk anything about Hugh Jackman.
I will.
You can also talk about Les Mis. That came out 2013
That
too.
was
didn't it?
That was
2012.
2012.
Oh, was it? Wow. Oh, that's right, because it came at Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the Wolverine was very disappointing. It had promise, and then... poor Hugh Jackman. He's a good, talented actor, but Wolverine doesn't get good movies, I don't think. I think
Solo
that's a rule
movies?
now.
I liked it.
I didn't.
I will say that it has its problems, especially the third act, but I still enjoyed much of the story and much of the character. And I think it added a lot to who Wolverine is, and it makes a good bridge between what happened to him in X-Men 3 and what's going to happen to him in Days of Futures Past, especially once you get to the end credit sequence.
That's those stupid Jean Grey bedroom sequences and stuff.
I like those.
And then she's like doing like the devil's gonna tempt you speeches and stuff, and I just couldn't get into it. I was like, ugh.
Fair enough.
I didn't like emo Wolverine too much because
Wolverine is emo.
I know he's emo, but there's a line, and he kind of stepped over the line into annoying emo.
Yeah, but
there's hot emo.
No, but
emo?
Don't forget he just came off the most tragic thing of his life, where he murdered his own. His great love.
Spoilers! No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, if you haven't seen X-Men 3, don't go seeing Wolverine.
Yeah, no.
Jean Grey, Simon Bug says Jean Grey has to have mountainous cleavage in every scene. It's true!
Yeah, that was a little gratuitous, but...
Wolverine fails the feminist test in every way. Anyway, that was my, I didn't like that movie this year. I'm looking at Ja-Mez's list here, so...
Yeah,
I
I've got
don't
a
know
bunch
what
of
else. What else?
World's
came out?
End.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
God,
right.
talk about disappointing.
Really?
Oh, so you...
I was so disappointed.
Well, you know what?
I didn't hate it. There were some really funny bits, and I liked the reversal of the Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright.
That's why I
what's his
didn't
name
like
characters.
it. That's why I didn't like it, because they reversed it. And I
like that, because you expect them to do one thing, they did something else, but...
But Simon Pegg doesn't do it as well as Nick Frost.
I don't know, I kind of liked his character, and I liked that he had to sort of somewhat redeem himself, and
He was a little more unforgivable. When Nick...
Yeah.
I enjoyed him in the role, but when Nick Frost does it, for instance...
he's more cuddly about it, sort of thing.
You're still... He's like the likable buffoon kind of thing, right?
And he's not the main character. But when you have the main character do it...
That was a mistake, but at the same time, you can't sell the movie on
Nick
Frost.
No, you can't. But if you have the main character be that, and when you side with, like, because he's a jerk the whole movie, and you feel for all the other characters, like, yeah, why are you hanging out with this manipulative jerk? Honestly, that is, yeah. And so you just, I don't know, it just gets annoying.
Yeah.
I did
Not
like
that I hated it, but it was
No, there were some really good bits. There were some awesome jokes in it, and I like that they were trying to develop the franchise, like the sort of, not a franchise, but they sort of built this through. I can't think today. Between Shaun of the Dead and
Hot
Fuzz, they kind of developed not a formula, but a relationship, I guess, that each film kind of built on. And they kind of tried to reverse it here, but it didn't quite work. And then it started to become less about that relationship, and then more about the events that were surrounding them. Whereas the first two were great because
it was always about the
it was about the relationship,
yeah.
regardless of the events. The events were just the events.
Yeah.
And that would that's the fun part, especially with a zombie film. That's what you do, is you focus on the people. The zombie is just the scenario, and whatever you're doing in the scenario, it's just basically a thing to survive. So it's just a zero-sum situation that everybody can get on board with immediately and know what's happening. Now, Hot Fuzz started to become a little more action film towards the end, and it became more about the plot than the relationship, but the relationship was still core to what was happening with the plot.
And it was a great parody of action movies in itself.
Especially doing it in, a quaint little English town.
Yeah.
The other thing, the thing with World's End that I did like was that, and I did like the movie up until, the last 10 minutes, actually.
That's where it lost me.
It ran on a little too long. And then it went in, I'm not going to spoil it, but, whatever. But the one thing I did like was it was a great commentary on, returning to a hometown and, bullying, actually.
Yeah.
Because I've had that experience when I return home, and these people that bullied me in elementary school not only either don't recognize me, or they don't realize they were bullying me, or they don't remember. And so it was kind of funny. It was like, what if it was like that? What if it was that they were actually just taken over by aliens?
Yeah.
And but it's true. And there was that brilliant little scene and brilliant little piece of acting by the one friend who says, like, it's not the fact that he beat me up or made my life hell. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that when he looked at me, he didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
And, it is like that. And it was so good, though. So I did enjoy that.
Again, there were aspects I enjoyed, but as a whole, especially towards the end, it really kind of lost me. And I didn't get the same joy and enjoyment out of it that I did watching Shaun of the Dead and to a lesser extent Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
The one main thing with it is that unlike Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, there's nothing keeping them in that town.
Yeah.
Except for Simon Pegg, and you don't know his... I mean, yes, he has a motivation to finish the whole run, but you're thinking, but that doesn't seem that big of a motivation.
And if his friends are so determined to just leave him behind and go, why don't they just leave him behind and go?
Yeah. So that was...
Yeah. So we're kind of exhausting the films. There's a couple other things I want to talk about. There's tons of films on here we could mention. Iron Man 3, Catching Fire, which I thought was a real big improvement over...
Oh, it was. I enjoyed Catching Fire.
Yeah. Monsters University, which was a surprisingly good prequel. I was surprised by how good it was.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Honest, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from it.
Man of Steel, which is the only thing in history to make me ever hate Superman.
Oh, really? I haven't seen Man of Steel.
I hated that movie.
People seem to be really drawn down the middle, actually. Yeah. People either really liked it or really, really hated it. So.
Star Trek Into Darkness, which was great for the first 20 minutes or so, and then it became a Wrath of Khan remake, which pissed me off to no end. And not even a good Wrath of Khan remake, it's just sort of, we'll just start quoting and sort of doing reversals on scenes that you're familiar with and not really earning the emotions of those scenes.
And I've never seen the original Wrath of Khan,
I'm not a huge fan of Wrath of Khan, but this was just sort of...
The only time I knew it was doing send-ups to the Wrath of Khan was when the audience groaned. Yeah. Actually, and just that end little scene there, because I'd seen it, you see it in so many parodies and stuff that you can't not.
Yeah, a couple other ones. Warm Bodies, which I was actually kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Not perfect.
I didn't see that one.
A lot of people were surprised.
It was a romantic zombie movie.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun with playing with the zombie sort of genre, but it's hard for me to accept those kinds of movies because I have a very specific of zombie movies and very specific sort of... I'm a Romero guy, and I like Romero's take on zombies. Everything else is just sort of either derivative or wrong.
What does ST stand for?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Brian agrees about Star Trek.
Oz the Great and Powerful, which I didn't see because it looked stupid.
My friend Dan went and saw it. He hated it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did he like it? He might be the only person in the world that likes it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I keep meaning to give it a chance, but it just to me looked like another Alice in Wonderland, and that was a disaster.
I've heard bad things about it.
Evil Dead, which I was surprised by. I don't like gore, but I kind of enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It's not for the faint of heart, so if you dislike gore at all, do not see it because it's not a very friendly film. The World's End, which we just talked about, Pacific Rim, which we talked about, Kick-Ass 2, which I thought was a little too specific to the comic.
I still haven't seen Kick-Ass 1.
They didn't... I could lend you Kick-Ass 1. Kick-Ass 2 I wouldn't really recommend. Frozen we already talked about. Quickly, we'll just go through some of the celebrities that died this year that I thought were worth mentioning. There are a lot of people who died this year that, if you guys can think of them, let us know. I specifically picked out 5 that were geek-oriented. Sid Field, who, if you don't know who that is basically... He basically wrote the book on screenwriting. And I mean literally wrote the book on screenwriting. His book about screenwriting is the book that people kind of... It's your first kind of... it's your introduction to the world of screenwriting. And he kind of came up with a lot of our modern sort of ways of doing proper screenwriting. Roger Ebert, which we talked about earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Big loss because not only was he a great film critic, and I didn't always necessarily agree with him.
You like Totoro.
He was a very good film student, too. Mm-hmm. Like, he knew what he was talking about when it came to film. Stuart Freeborn, who, for those who don't remember, was the creator of Yoda and Chewbacca and a lot of the creatures in the first 2 Star Wars films. Very cute, adorable man who died at the age of 91.
Just like Yoda!
Yeah. Well, he modeled Yoda's face after a mix between him and Albert Einstein.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Huge loss, Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah.
So if you don't know who Ray Harryhausen is, he did all those really cool stop motion monsters.
I bought a camera.
The 30s through the 80s.
That's right.
So my children are doing stop motion animation.
Cool.
It's awesome.
He did things like Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts.
When I was younger, I was like amazed by Jason and the Argonauts and all those things. And the skeletal scene, when they have the skeleton scene, I was thinking, oh, I want to do something like that. That'd be so fun.
And you did.
And his work kind of influenced a lot of guys like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Peter Jackson, and all the guys who make the modern sort of monster movies were very inspired by Ray Harryhausen. And then the last one that I wanted to mention died on New Year's Eve. People might not know the geek connection with him, James Avery, who was...
Oh, yeah.
You might have seen this on 3geeksandapod.com. He played Uncle Phil on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But he also voiced Shredder on the 80s/90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series.
Yeah.
Died of complications due during heart surgery.
That's sad.
Yeah, 68 years old. Really tragic. I mean, all of them are sad, and there's all kinds of people we could talk about and how tragic it was that they... Paul Walker was a devastating event.
Mm-hmm.
Not really geeky, so I didn't really know if it would fit into this, but still something that was very, very sort of heartbreaking and not a way you want to go. And I feel for his family and his friends, and
there you have it.
Pepper just reminded me that I did a Star Wars stop motion animation in high school. It wasn't that great. It was okay.
That's fun.
Yeah, I recreated the Duel of the Fates, complete with music and everything, and sound effects. And
oh, really?
I didn't ever get to animating the lightsabers, but it was. I wish I still had that somewhere.
I made a stop motion animation when I was 12, and it was just with plasticine, and it was about a boy who wouldn't eat his vegetables, so a giant carrot comes out of the fridge and eats them. I did all the voices too. They weren't that good.
Nice. Then a couple more comics that I just want to mention. You guys probably don't know much about these, but
nope.
Some big events this year that were kind of cool, and I'm really sort of disappointed that I'm really sort of disappointed that some of these things happened. Some like this year was the 75th anniversary of Superman, and they gave us Man of Steel, which was heartbreaking. Really cool. The first all-female X-Men team.
Oh, really?
Which hasn't been very well done, but I like the idea.
I like the idea of women in comics.
No, not only women in comics, but an entire comic devoted to the females, and that you don't need, like, there's enough powerful female X-Men to round out a team for it not to feel like it's filler and for it to be an interesting story. And their villains so far have been very female-oriented as well.
Because we're mean.
Death of Damian Wayne, who is Robin and the son of Batman. A lot of people may not care, but it was sort of a big event.
He was like an actual son of Batman?
Sorry?
Yeah, I don't know much about...
He's the son of Talia al Ghul, who is the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and Bruce Wayne.
No way!
Yes.
Batman has a son?
Yes.
That's amazing!
He wasn't supposed to. It was an Elseworld story that they made into canon. He wasn't supposed to be part of the actual universe. And then when they did...
Sorry, guys, I'm coughing up.
Near the end of New 52, or near the beginning of New 52, they ditched Tim Drake Robin and went with this Robin. And then partway, like a year or two later, they killed off...
Oh, come on. How ninja must he have been? Like, think about his parents, man.
He wasn't a very... He was a very snarky... All New X-Men was a fantastic series. Pepper, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, Man of Steel was impeccably cast, but yeah, it was not... I wasn't big on that. Sorry, I'm kind of catching up on the chat, guys, but... and then the one event that I wanted to mention again that happened 1 year ago and has still gone on... Peter Parker's been written out of comics altogether.
Really?
Like, there's no Ultimate Peter Parker.
I clearly don't know anything about comics.
Well, we talked about this last year on New Year's. They were getting rid of Peter Parker, and Doc Ock took over the consciousness of...
And
I thought it was just going to be like a 6-month... Yeah, he's still there. And they're planning on him to keep on going, which is really interesting because Spider-Man 2 Amazing Spider-Man 2 is coming out this year, which is very much a Peter movie. And Peter Parker doesn't exist in either the Ultimate Universe or the regular 616 universe.
Yeah, but movies are different, right?
No, but Marvel is very on the ball about making sure that their comics not just align with the comic book or with the movies. Like they make big sales around the time of the movie. So when Avengers came out, they really pushed all their Avengers titles, and they even introduced a team that resembled the Avengers movie team, so that people would go and buy the books. And that always happens is people curious about the books are going to buy them. So when X-Men comes out, people are going to be picking up Days of Future Past, and when Captain America comes out, they're going to be... When Captain America comes out, people are going to be looking for the trades about Winter Soldier because he's the big character in this one. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting that Peter Parker Spider-Man is not in comics anywhere, and they're going to be selling an entire movie about Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Do you know what else happened in 2013?
What happened in 2013?
The Cyan got a Kickstarter funded for a new game.
Actually, that helps because I was just about to move on to games.
Games!
Good transition, man.
I can actually talk about these things.
You talked about the movies.
I did talk about the movies. It was fun. All right, what we got? I'm just looking
knitting.
at your...
Well, first, the biggest thing was we got new consoles this year.
Oh, yeah, this was the year.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Any of you guys gonna try and get new consoles? I'm not.
The only one I'm
now.
interested in is a Wii U because I really, really, really want to play 3D Mario.
It's fun.
It's so
Mario
much
as
fun.
a cat is so much fun.
I love that Nintendo is having so much fun with its Mario franchise. In the last couple of years, they put out some really, really good Mario games.
Do you know what I love about that game? Is that when Peach gets the ability to like throw flames and stuff, her hair goes up in a ponytail.
Does it?
Yeah.
I didn't notice
now
that.
Now that is clever and
that's
smart.
Something that Madpan...
I wrote about that. I have a whole monologue dedicated to video game women and hair. So it always bothers me when you have like all these like long flowy locks. If she throws a flame, it's gonna catch on fire. So I'm glad they put her hair up in
That's
a
an
pony.
excellent point.
Anyway,
and I like that not only Peach. What I really liked about this game is when they put Peach into it. They did the same thing they did in Super Mario Brothers 2, where all the characters had their own unique.
They all do the same thing as they had in Mario 2.
Well, I mean, not really, because Toad wasn't really fast in Mario 2. He's just sort of short. But in this one, they gave Toad speed, which is good. They gave Peach her sort of floaty jump thing, and they put Mario's just smack in the middle, because he doesn't really have any, other power sets. And Luigi also has his sort of flailing jump thingy and a bit of speed as well.
Niffler on the chat is mentioning Wind Waker HD, which I have tried out, and it's fun. It's just as fun as it was. It's very pretty. It's just as fun as it was 10 years ago.
And this was a big year for Zelda, too, because you had that, and you also had A Link Between Worlds, which I'm hearing is the best Zelda game since...
really?
Yeah, since...
Don't say Ocarina.
No,
really?
since before Ocarina, since...
Link to the Past?
Yeah.
I liked I haven't actually played Link to the Past. I'm playing Phantom Hourglass right now. Errol lent it to me, but I'm frustrated because most of it is timed, and there's timed sequences, and I'm very stressed out. So I have I go from one stressful book and game to another. Anyway, I want to wait and see what happens with all, Wii U seems to be getting more popular.
Well, Wii U's also had a year head start on everything. If I'm going to get something, I'm going to get a Wii U after that. It's going to be a PS4.
Yeah.
But I'm going to wait a little bit till A, the price comes down, and B, the market's not so crazy about it.
Yeah, because I need to wait. Everyone's like, you're going to get it now? I can't. I don't have
PS3 is still supported.
We still have a bunch of games we have to finish.
Yeah, we are going to finish those games this year. That is our 2014 New Year's resolution.
I'm going to join a gym.
Well, speaking of some of the games that you guys played this year, Tomb Raider, which I thought was actually pretty well done.
That was pretty fun.
I kind of enjoyed that one.
Tomb Raider was fun.
Last of Us, which was probably one of the better stories.
Good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beyond Two Souls, which might go down as my biggest disappointment this year.
Yeah, I have to say Beyond Two Souls was unfortunate. It kind of highlighted all of David Cage's... I've written 2 reviews of the game now, actually.
Who's David Cage?
David Cage is the writer of Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls.
Oh, okay.
And he just... The thing with Heavy Rain, and the thing with Cliché, is that in Heavy Rain it works better because it's film noir, and film noir in itself kind of lends itself better to cheesy dialogue. But when you have it in a more serious storyline, or when you have it in this type of genre, I don't even know what this genre was, it's just really apparent, and some of the writing gets really clunky.
Well, my problem with it was that they were trying so hard to be non-linear with the story, but the problem with that is that your story still needs to have a through line that connects the non-linear stuff. It still needs to be somewhat linear. Yeah. Your events might not take place in time, but it still needs to reveal a story in proper order. A la, Batman Begins or Memento are good examples of that. Yeah. However, this just felt sort of scattered.
It was scattered.
It felt very sort of disjointed.
And that was one of the reasons why you couldn't get attached to the characters, which in a game like this is vital.
Yeah.
I felt no stakes. There's a part in the game where you're supposed to feel all conflicted about what to do, because it's one of those like, tell us where this thing is or we'll torture your boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, go for it. It's just like...
Would you like to see men torture?
No!
Whoa, man pants, Ice Queen.
Oh, no!
Yeah. Bitter with love.
Thanks for joining the conversation.
You're welcome,
now, Errol.
I'll go back to knitting.
Well, what about... You have some things to say maybe about another game that was big, that was hyped a lot this year was Ni no Kuni, and it's kind of I don't hear a whole lot about it now.
No.
I don't hear a lot of people talking about it.
You say it's hyped, but the only people I heard talk about it were you and Errol.
Yeah, us that are like, level 5 and Ghibli
Which is
fans.
funny because when I went to buying that thing was a trial.
Yeah.
Because when I went out to go get it, there were no copies. It was opening day, of course, and everyone was like, oh, that was when I ran into the smuggest man in the game store.
Even more so than me?
Yeah, because he went up, so I was going up, and I was like, do you have any copies of Ni no Kuni? And they're like, oh, no, it's sold out and everything, right? And then he goes, they're like, unless you pre-ordered it. I'm like, didn't. And he walks up with the smuggest look on his face, and he's just like, I'm here for my copy of Ni no Kuni, please. And he gives me this look like, oh, that's right.
I pre-ordered.
You can't have it. Girl. You don't know how the video game world works. I was maybe putting a few words in his mouth, but still, pretty sure that's what he was thinking. So yeah, that was my... But it was a very pretty game.
Maybe he was trying to pick you up. So that's like, I've got it.
Doubtful.
If you want to
He was a
play
punk
with
kid.
me.
No,
pretty poor pickup line to walk in, act smug, and then walk away with a game that the woman wants. See, the good pickup line would be, I've got it, you want to come over and play?
Ni no Kuni was pretty, it was very pretty. And it was fun. It just is very slow to begin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And...
I find that with a lot of RPGs, is that it's... You need to start it with a big event, and then segue into the slower part, because... I mean, by nature of their story, there has to be a slow part at the beginning as you're sort of building your character, but...
Yeah.
And you need to give a lot of rewards at the beginning to keep you wanting to go on.
Exactly.
I want to talk a little more about games.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games that I wanted to mention. One of the ones that you played, that I watched you play, on Dan's channel.
BioShock Infinite?
BioShock Infinite, which
yes.
The mechanics of that didn't look like it was very interesting, but the story itself was captivating.
The story itself was captivating, and the combat was fun, actually.
Was it?
And I'm not a big combat person in games.
It
Wouldn't let me jump on a building.
Well, you try to break every game you play.
Every time I tried to jump on the building, it was so sad.
When I showed up today, Errol was playing one of my favorite games from this year.
Yes.
The Stanley Parable, which is made for Errol. Because first of all, it's got a great sense of humor. Second of all, it rewards you for clicking on everything.
Now, I will say this about 2013. There were a lot of great games this year, but there was also a lot of them... Stanley Parable was the only one in which I laughed.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of moments where I laughed in BioShock Infinite just because of the characters and stuff, but Stanley Parable was the only real comedy game I saw this year. There was a very grim year. You play Last of Us, the very first... It's one of the grimmest post-apocalyptic zombie games you can get out there.
Beyond Two Souls was like that.
Beyond Two Souls was like that.
Tomb Raider was kind of trying to...
Tomb Raider's trying to be gritty.
And then, what was... what's the one where you're in the haunted house and you're being chased by the big one that they just released a sequel this year about pigs.
Oh, Amnesia.
Amnesia.
That was a disappointing one.
Yeah,
actually.
A lot of people really were upset with how disappointing that one was.
The other one... What's another... there's a couple. Actually, the Stanley Parable, and there's another game called Gone Home. Both Stanley Parable and Gone Home are games that could really... Like, people are going to argue whether they're actually games or not because of what's involved in them, which there isn't an actual lot of gameplay. There's a lot of exploring, and there's a lot of choice making and stuff, but Gone Home, Stanley Parable is a great comedy game.
Yeah.
For me, the definition of a game is anything you have to interact with, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes a game for me. And with Gone Home, it was one of the best ways. They're really doing well now this year. They're really breaking ground with how games can tell a story. And Gone Home is a great example of how, for instance, I compared it with Beyond Two Souls. Sorry, I'm going to only go on a little bit about this, but when comparing Gone Home with Beyond Two Souls was supposed to be the game which you got so attached to.
Yeah, because it was the follow-up from the studio that brought you Heavy Rain, which is a very story-oriented game.
But,
and it rewards you for following the story.
But Gone Home, it was amazing how attached I got. It's about this girl who comes home from college, and none of her family's in the house. They're all gone. They've just moved into this house, so she doesn't know about it. And so she explores the house trying to find out what happened. And I got so attached to this family who I'd never met or faced, and it was just through looking at school notes, through looking at letters, through looking at receipts and stuff that's how the story unfolds. And it's great. And so it's one of my top 5 of this year.
From every list I've seen, it's the top 1. Everyone's listening as their favorite. Well, of the ones I've seen,
it's weird though, because when it's like a tie between Last of Us and Gone Home, which are 2 vastly different games. Mm-hmm. Last of Us, in terms of AAA titles, it has the graphics, it has the story, it has the more realistic combat, and it's gripping and stuff. And Gone Home has the storytelling and even really the atmosphere. It's great.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Yeah.
That's what I really love about the way video games and the video game industry is going right now, is that a lot of these indie titles are getting a lot more attention and focus. Like the biggest game of, the one that everyone put on their list last year as their favorite was Journey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is it's a beautiful video game, and it's sold on its beauty and the way it tells its story, but it's not
a game.
It's not a game in the traditional sense that most people would think of, in that, there's a lot of button mashing and a lot of, strategy and whatnot. You're just wandering a wilderness and interacting with things and
I think one of the cool thing, if you think about it, story eventually became part of the game, but what you had to do with a lot of the first-person shooters or a lot of the RTSs is that you had to add new things. But then eventually or RPGs for that. But then eventually, there are not as many new things to add to them anymore.
Yeah. Right.
And so then you have to focus on story. And games are littered with first-person shooters and RPGs.
And that's what I don't like about the first-person shooters and whatnot, is that they feel like the story's sort of tacked on for the sake of story, and then most people buy those and just play online.
Well, that was what I liked about BioShock Infinite. It's technically a first-person shooter.
It is, but it's
for that matter, Last of Us.
Last of Us is his third person. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, or third person, whatever.
And
but it's very heavy on the action and the gameplay, but also the story. As opposed to playing, the latest Call of Duty or Gears of War.
My friend Dan actually, he does a lot of Let's Plays and stuff, but he actually went and recorded all of the cinematics for Last of Us. And he gave it to his dad to watch. And his dad actually really loved it. Because he said, well, how does this work just as a movie? Because Last of Us is a very cinematic game. And, he watched it. He could follow the plot coherently, and he was absolutely attached to it. So it's kind of funny how that could work out. I don't know how much of gameplay Dan put in there as well, but he might have put a bit in there.
Yeah, because it does kind of skip some gaps a little bit. But, I don't know. A couple other ones. Grand Theft Auto 5, which, again, isn't very story-oriented, but this one was. This one was very heavily story-oriented.
I've heard good things, because
I really enjoyed it.
I write for a group called Geek which you can find online. And we've been compiling our top games for 2013, and there was arguments about whether to include Grand Theft Auto 5 on the list, and a couple people really gunned for it. They were like, it's one of the best of the year. So,
well, the problem with Grand Theft Auto, as in itself, is that it's very repetitive in its there's not much change between game to game. Mm-hmm. There are little improvements here and there. But I thought, and this one had the nice story mechanic of having 3 different characters that you had to switch through in order to tell the story, and you could switch between them at any time for, free gameplay. But I like that Grand Theft Auto is consistently similar in that, I don't need to relearn the game every time I pick it up. I can just jump into the world and start playing. And
where are those people I can beat with a baseball bat?
Yeah, and well, that's the thing, is you jump into that because it's open world and you can do whatever you want. You can play this story or you can mess around.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy about it, is that if I just want to blow off some steam, I'll just jump in a car in Grand Theft Auto, run some people over on the sidewalk, or pick up a rocket launcher and see how many stars I can accumulate by blowing up police cars. I swear I'm not normally a violent person.
One couple games that I want to play that came out this year that I haven't yet was The Wolf Among Us, which got rave reviews. It's another Telltale game, and it's based on the Fables comics.
Yeah.
And I've heard great things.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't heard?
I thought it was... Maybe because I'm comparing it to Walking Dead and how much I enjoyed Walking Dead, because it's done by the same people in the same style.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't nearly as well done.
Oh, so you played it?
I watched people play.
Oh,
okay. I'm gonna.
Again, you played the Raven? That's new.
Oh, we could talk about the Raven. Now, the Raven doesn't. It's an adventure game, and it doesn't really introduce anything new.
Nope.
But it's a fun little game. We still have to finish that too. That's 3 games. I think the Raven will be easier to finish, though.
Terraria 1.2 came out.
That came out. Errol has been... I've been learning. I made my own sword in Terraria the other day. I didn't have to depend on the handouts of the more able players. Although, to make the sword sometimes...
And then one that I played that I really wanted to just punch everything.
Well, I think I know what's coming up. Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Which?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yes.
TMNT.
I got a computer this summer finally, and I was so excited that I could start playing computer games, because I haven't been able to for many years because my computer's just been too terrible.
You should play Terraria with us.
And I had just enough money to buy one game. And about a week before I bought the game, this game came out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of Shadows. I was looking forward to, because it's supposed to be sort of set in the new cartoon series world, with similar characterization to those characters and sort of a similar plot line and whatnot. But the game was just so buggy and so problematic. I was willing to let that go because it was Ninja Turtles, and I was going through the 4th level and got to the boss fight and finished the boss fight in about 5 minutes, and it was over.
Whoa.
I beat the game in about 2 hours.
Wow.
And how much was it when you paid for it?
$20.
That is so not worth it.
No. And I was so... I would have forgiven the bugginess of the game if there had been more game. But it was over so quickly. The storyline was so shoddy.
It was just a cash grab.
It was. And that's all it was. It wasn't well done at all. And I was just so upset. Ugh.
Now
I don't get upset
turtles.
over games. I don't... No. Actually, this was a really good year for Turtles, too.
Do you... Can I say what you've been doing in Terraria?
Sure.
To tell people of your evil...
what?
Evil
I'm
supervillain?
not evil. I'm not... It's fun.
Okay, let's see what... So, this whole new Terraria thing starts up, and we all have this server that we go on.
Terraria is like a 2D Minecraft.
It's like a 2D Minecraft, right? And so Errol goes in, and he's a supervillain, and pillages the world of all of its resources. And then he says to himself, you know what I want? A lava dome floating in the sky. And we have it now. We have a dome that is we have a dome house that is surrounded by lava so that nothing can get into it and stuff. And there are multiple ones of these now, aren't there?
That's because there are children.
Those are children. So there's these kids that also play with us, and
they're our friends' kids, or my kids, or Brian's kids.
They tend to take things from the chests all the booty that we plunder. And
Although,
put
to be
in
fair,
chests.
they're in the chest for everybody to have.
I know, but then you're like, I want, this many things, and then, it's actually really funny, because it's watching Errol play with the kids, because it's one of the times he gets sort of curmudgeon-y, and you just see him like, what are you doing? You took all the souls of might! Oh, I needed those!
No, it's more along the lines, what are you doing? Why are you in my house? Why are you in this? It's like, what are you doing?
The kids are like, can I have this? No, you can't have that. Why not?
My house. And then they're going, why are you making your house out of temple brick and lava? Because then nobody can get in, like you people.
He's becoming a curmudgeon-y hermit in Terraria. It's hilarious.
I just suddenly saw Errol as one of the house owners in a Zelda game. When Link goes in and just starts smashing all their crap to try and collect stuff.
Then she's, can I stay here? No, this is my house. Why don't you go make your own? Because your house is cool. You were mocking me for making out of lava and lizard bricks.
Lizard bricks?
Yes.
I didn't know those existed.
Well, temple bricks are.
No,
yeah,
temple
it doesn't matter.
bricks.
Anyway.
Okay. Oh, what was I going to say?
We could always talk about what happened to us in 2013. I just saw a whole whack of TIFF movies. Sorry, Studio Ghibli movies.
Yeah, we've seen those.
Because I won that contest with...
Oh yeah, Errol is now officially Studio Ghibli's biggest fan.
Or at least in Toronto.
In Toronto.
So that's pretty darn awesome.
That was a really tense contest. That was like the most tense, stupid 3 weeks of my life.
That was so fun.
Yeah. What did I do this year? Do you remember what I did this last in 2013?
You started writing an awful lot.
I've written a lot more. So
No, but you're like guest writing for like all these places now.
So,
right? So you write for Geek Prawn.
I write for Geek Prawn. I write for Adventure Gamers.
And you have your own blog you write for.
Oh yeah, I started a blog this year. My Neighbor Errol has been started. That's
well, no, it's not only about My Neighbor Errol. It's called Thoughts from the Chest Chamber, and one of the categories is My Neighbor Errol.
But people like to read the My Neighbor Errols.
Well, he's a funny guy. He's freaky and weird. I want to read more about him because he's crazy.
What was you said? You're like, I want another My Neighbor Errol. I miss that guy. Errol, what do you think of this blog post? It's fine, but it's no My Neighbor Errol.
I'm such a narcissist.
Yup.
Because I read it and I don't think it's me. And then it's like, oh wait, that is me.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, it's 10 after.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us at 3geeksinapod with the number 3 at gmail.com. You can also go to our website, 3geeksinapod.com. Look at that. We have our own website.
Where we'll be broadcasting every Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Don't forget, you can also find us on Facebook and Twitter, and now Tumblr too, where all of this stuff updates, and I'm constantly updating not just things about the podcast, but I'm doing geek news on the regular now. So you can find all of that at our website.
And he should do comics for Debs and Errol. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I tried to do one this weekend, but I ran out of time.
No.
Oh,
it's hard to write and draw.
I know.
I'm not very good at it.
I'll do the writing, you can do the drawing.
Yeah, but then you're going to make me do something ridiculous.
What do you mean ridiculous? No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. My name's not Ja-Mez.
My name's not Errol.
My name's not Man Bands.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Had a very I'm Rick moment last week.
Oh really? Why? With some boys?
Maybe. But he was like, "Who's your friend?" And I was like,
"What?
Why are you gargling at her?"
it was like cat meow.
No, they gargle.
He's just sitting there like.
This is the pre-show,
I don't know what
everybody.
cat you're around and gargle.